Close to the Sun is a brilliant atmospheric exploration game. Based in the late 1800s, you play Rose, a journalist who gets a cryptic letter from her sister calling her to the Helios, a massive city-sized ship that operates on the single premise of bringing all the brilliant minds of the world together without the bonds of government motives or rich purse strings. It doesn't take long before you realize that something is terribly wrong with the ship you've just landed on via a remote-controlled taxi barge. It's quiet. Too quiet, and strange unexplained movements in the ship don't do anything to ease your fears. As you journey your way through the bowels of the Titanic vessel, you begin to uncover the story behind it and the fears, jealousy, and mistakes that lead up to the disastrous events, which only grow in size as you explore the once grandiose and luxurious halls of the Helios. Close to the Sun is absolutely gorgeous. Each and every chapter a beautiful set piece that dazzles the eye and captures the spirit and terror in every moment. Immediately, I was struck with the BioShock vibe, which is great because BioShock based in Rapture is one of the creepiest and most immersive games I've ever played. This game, however, differs from BioShock in one important aspect. There's no combat. And usually, I'm not a huge fan of horror-type games that eliminates any sort of method for defending yourself because I feel like it removes an important element of choice. Depending on your personality, one's fight-or-flight instinct in a scary situation would be different. Taking away combat options limits that to only one response. However, Close to the Sun does a good job at managing that by not forcing the player into too many flight scenarios. Much of the suspense managed in this game is done so by exploration, a well-conducted soundtrack, and atmosphere. There are a couple of quick-timey events that force you to run, but those aren't overdone and save for the storytelling moments that make them that much more impactful. Also, welcomely missing in Close to the Sun is the act of sneaking and avoiding while looking for an objective. There's no quote-unquote velociraptor in the kitchen moments in this game, which is nice because I don't feel like it would match the atmosphere. In fact, there's not even a sneak option available. You're either walking and exploring or running and trying to escape. There's no gray area. It draws a very clear dividing line between the moments you're supposed to let your guard down and search for artifacts and blueprints, and the times you're supposed to be running from a threat. Hardcore horror lovers may lament the loss of the threat of jump scares at any time, but Close to the Sun isn't that type of game. Rather than putting the horror element first and the story later, this game focuses on the narrative and lets the horror come naturally through the visuals, soundtrack, and downright creepy environment. That's not to say there aren't occasional jumpy moments, but none of them can get you killed. They're simply mood building.
Hello? Anyone there?
The story is intriguing and kept my interest, although there were a couple things that I wish would have been explained just a bit better. One particular bit is the backstory behind one of the enemies that you contact in your time throughout the ship. He seems to be an antagonist purely there for suspense with no motive, or at least not one that's clear. Also missing is the explanation for many of the anomalies that are responsible for the event in the first place. Every time someone begins to explain it, it's cut off by the hasty explanation that it's a bunch of science-y stuff. Look, I get it. The things that happen in this can't actually happen, but it would be nice if it was backed up by a scientific explanation that at least sounded feasible. Also, the character who you play stays oblivious for a long time before realizing what is happening. Many of the situations she walks into are obviously terrifying, but she'll say something like, "Man, someone needs to talk to the interior designer."
Are these visions from the past?
Whether you are friend or foe, do watch your step.
Gee, thanks for the warm welcome.
I suppose it's a refreshing change from the ordinary, scared of everything horror protagonist we usually play as. Close to the Sun isn't a super involved shooter like BioShock that requires fast movements, thinking, and reflexes to take out your enemies, nor does it require tedious stealth maneuvers and enemy walk pattern memorizations of other horror games. All that it requires is a bit of puzzle solving and your attention to detail, which is easily given now that you are able to take your time and really absorb the sinister, uncanny ambience of Helios. Thanks for watching this review of Close to the Sun on Pow Bam Zing. Have a great day.